am Ms. Alvarado and I am a kindergarten teacher at Emerson Elementary. And I'm so happy you're here with me today. Today, we are going to learn how to identify and describe the main character. Let's go over our objective. Our objective is a sentence that's going to tell us what we are going to learn. Ready? Boop. So this is our objective. This is the sentence that's going to tell us what we are going to learn today. I'm going to read it first, and then you're going to read it with me. Okay, ready to listen? Turn on your listening ears. Very good. I can identify and describe the main character. We have a lot of big words here. Ready? Now you read it with me. I can identify and describe the main character. Identify means find. I can find. And describe means you use words that tell about the character. Describe means you use words to tell about the character, to help understand the character. But wait a minute. What's a character? Here we have that word, character, the main character. What is character? Characters, say that with me. Characters. Say it again. Characters. Very good. Are the people, animals, or creatures in a story. So a character could be a person, people like you and me. Could also be like animals, just like a cat, maybe a dog, maybe a frog. Could also be a creature. But what is a creature? A creature could be maybe a monster or an alien. Here we have a picture of a little girl. Could she be a character? Yes, because the little girl is a person, a people, just like you and just like me. And here we have a cat. Can a cat be a character? Yes, a cat can be a character, just like a dog, just like a frog, just like a horse. And then we also have this thing right here, and this we call a creature because that's not a person or an animal. Remember, a creature could be maybe a monster or an alien. So all these are characters. They're the people, animals, or creatures in a story. And today we're going to identify and describe the character. So when we're reading our story, we need to make sure we're looking at the people, the animals, or the creatures so we can identify, find the character. But what about describe? How do we describe a character? Character traits. Ooh, that's a new word. Character traits. Say that again with me. Character traits. One more time. Character traits. Words that help us understand the character. Again, words that help us understand the character. So, character traits are words that help us understand the character. And we use these character traits to describe what the character says, what the character thinks, what the character does, and what the character feels. So when we're reading a book, we look at words and we identify and describe what the character is thinking, what the character is saying, what the character is feeling, and what the character does. This is how we describe a character in a story. And remember, a character could be people, animals, or creatures in a story. So again, one more time. Character traits are words that help us understand the character. So today, not only are we going to identify, but we're also going to describe what the character says, thinks, does, and feels in this story. Okay, before we get started on reading our story, I want to talk about what type of book we're reading today. Today we are reading a realistic fiction. Say that with me. Realistic fiction. Let me think about that words. Those two words. Realistic fiction. What could realistic fiction mean? Let's see. Realistic fiction. A story using made-up characters. Remember, characters are people, animals, or creatures in a story. They're made-up characters, but could happen in real life. So these are characters that are made up, that the author made up in his head. He made it up here, okay? He used his imagination to make up these characters. But it could happen in real life. So he used characters that we could maybe see every day. So in a realistic fiction, we have characters, which are the people, animals, or creatures in a story. We also have a setting, and a setting is the location. It's the place where the story happens. The setting is the place where the story happens. What's the setting? The setting is the place where the story happens. Then we also have a problem with the story. And if there's a problem, there has to be a solution. In a realistic fiction, characters have a problem and a solution. So if they have a problem, something that makes their life just a little bit hard, something that makes their life in the story just a little bit more difficult, they have a solution. How to fix that problem? Okay, ready? Before we get started with our reading, let's go over our objective one more time. Ready? I can identify and describe the main character. So remember, today we're going to identify, find the main character, but also describe. We're going to look at words and listen to words and read words that tell us what the character thinks, says, feels, and does. Now let's take a look at some important vocabulary words before we get started. These words are a little bit... Now before we get started with reading our book, I want to go over some important vocabulary words that'll help us understand the story a little bit more. Let's use what we learned about character traits. Remember, character traits are words that help us understand the character. So let's take a look at this picture of this person right here. Because remember, a character could be a person, animal, or creature. What kind of person is this? Is this a boy? A girl? Think about that. What word would you use to describe this person? This person is a man. That's a man. What about how the character is feeling? Take a look at this character's face. How do you think the character is feeling right now? Do you think the character is happy? Would you use that word? Maybe sad? I think if I look at this character's face, this character looks a little scared. This character is scared. Look at the way he has his mouth. He's almost yelling. Now, what about what the character looks like? Let's look at the character's hair. First of all, we know that this character has hair. That's what we see right here. Is this hair long? Is it short? Does this character have red hair? What do you think? I think this character has black hair. Do you see the color of this hair? Very good. Now let's talk about what the character is wearing. The character is wearing what? A blue dress? No. I think this character is wearing a green shirt. Definitely wearing a green shirt. Now what about what the character is doing? Because remember, when we look at character traits and we describe the character, we're also looking at what the character does. So what do you think this character is doing right now? Is this character sitting down? Is this character driving? What do you think? I think this character is running away. Maybe because he's scared, but this character is running. He's running. That's another character trait. That's another word we use to describe this character. Very good. Now, before we get started with our reading, I want to go over a few important words. These words, I want to tell you what they mean before we read them. Here we have this word. This word says terrific. Can you say that word with me? Terrific. Terrific. Again, terrific. This word, we're going to see it in the book, and so I wanted to tell you what it means before we started reading our book. Terrific means when something is really good. Terrific could mean maybe when you're reading a book and this book is really good, so you say this book is terrific. Or maybe when you're eating something super, super good, you would say this food is terrific. Or if you watched a movie that you really liked, that you thought was really good, you say, this movie was terrific. Very good. Next word. Here we have this word, marvelous. Ooh, say that word with me. Marvelous. Marvelous. Let's read it again. Marvelous. Again. Marvelous. Marvelous is something that describes something that feels great. Like if you were on a roller coaster. That roller coaster was marvelous. Or if you went on a bike ride. My bike ride was marvelous. Or even if you went on a car ride. That car ride was marvelous. Next word. We have this word that says terrible. Terrible. That's almost like terrific, but it says terrible. Terrible. Terrible describes something that is really bad. So for example, if maybe a food did not taste very good, it was a little bad, you would say, this food was terrible. Or if you watched a movie that you didn't like, you could say, that movie was terrible. Or if something scares you or if something's sad, you would say, that's terrible. Fright. This word is fright. Let's say it again. Fright. Ready? One more time. Fright. Fright is when something is scary. Fright. Like when you see a monster, ooh, that monster gave me such a fright. So fright is when something is scary and it scares you. Very good. I think we're ready to get started with our reading. Yay! It's time to read our story today. So first, let's read our title. And our title is Stage Fright. Let's read that again. Stage Fright. Now you read it with me. Stage Fright. And remember, when we have a book, we have an author. The author is the person who writes the story. And the author of the story is Jamini Vijayan. So remember, the author is the person who writes the story. This is the person who writes the words in our story. And the illustrator. The illustrator is the person who draws the pictures. Who is the illustrator? The person who draws the picture. And the illustrator's name is Somesh Kumar. So the illustrator drew on our front cover. Remember, we have a front cover and we always want to look at the front cover before we start reading. That way we can get an idea of who the character is so we can identify them and describe them. So by looking at our front cover, who do you think the main character is? Do you think our character is maybe a horse? Or maybe a cat? No. By looking at our front cover, I think our main character is a girl. Look right here. We have a picture. The illustrator drew a picture of a girl. Very good. Now let's get started. Ooh. Champa loves singing more than anything else in the whole wide world. She sings in the bathroom and on the roof. She sings to the hills and to the moon. Sings. She sings. So who do you think our main character is? Take a look at this picture right here. Do you think our main character is the girl sitting on top of the roof or the girl that is singing? Both of these people are characters, but remember, we're looking for the main character. What about the dog? Could the dog be a character? Very good. Ready? She sings like a lion and like a bee. She sings through rain and through heat. When Champa sings, she is filled with the most marvelous feeling in the world. Remember, marvelous means something that feels good. Marvelous is when something feels good. So here we have our characters. What are these characters doing? The characters are hiding from the rain. What about this character? What is this character doing? Can you describe what the character is doing? I think the character is singing. And I think the character feels happy. One day, Champa sings, Basant's eyes light up. I have an amazing idea, he says. Basant is Champa's best friend, and he is always bursting with ideas. Some are terrific. Remember, there's that word terrific. What does terrific mean? Terrific is when something is good. And some are terrible. What does terrible mean? So terrific means good, and terrible means when something is bad. So here we can tell that Champa's best friend always has ideas, and some are terrific and some are terrible. I think I think I think Champa looks a little scared, maybe a little interested. She wants to know what Basan's idea is. That's what I can tell by looking at that, because look at their eyes. They're looking at each other. She's ready to listen. You should sing on annual day, says Basant. What a terrible idea, says Champa. Why not? You love to sing. Champa hasn't told Basant about the only time she got on stage and nearly fainted with fear. Fear is when you're scared. Do you think Champa likes Basant's idea about her having to sing in front of people? Take a look at her face. How do you think she feels? What do you think this character feels right now? Do you think she's happy? Do you think she's sad? Maybe scared? I think this character is scared. When Basan said the idea about her having to sing in front of people, I don't think Champa liked it. 'Cause she's not smiling. I can't sing in front of so many people. I don't even sing in front of Ma and Pa. You do sing around me. All you need is a little practice, Champa. Look at how Champa looks right now. Do you think she's excited? How do you think she feels about that idea? I think she's feeling scared. Should I? Yes, yes, yes. If Mahi and Paras laugh at me, should I? Yes, yes, yes. What if Mahi and Paras laugh at me? If they do, it just makes them silly and mean. You're an amazing singer. The very thought of singing in front of a crowd fills her stomach with butterflies. Champa's excited and terrified at the same time. But she loves to sing so much, she decides to give it a try. You see the butterflies in her stomach? That means her stomach is getting kind of tickly and she's nervous, but she's also excited and terrified. So she doesn't feel good about it, but she's also excited. What do you think she's going to do? Do you think she's going to try it? Say, I think. Let's find out.
Champa practices long and hard. She rolls out of bed with a soft hum. She sings while multiplying and dividing. She makes her voice go up and down and down and up while taking the goats out to graze. She sings through her mouth. She sings through her nose. She even sings upside down. How do you think she feels here? What do you notice about the character here? Do you still think she's afraid of singing in front of people? Do you still think she thinks it's a terrible idea? If she's singing while taking the goats out and hanging upside down, I think she's excited. She's practicing. She's getting ready to sing in front of the people. Everyone at home is excited about Champa's big day. They give her advice. Take long and deep breaths before you sing. Give the audience your widest smile. Just be yourself. Throw a broken plate at the door and eat 12 grapes for good luck. The day before her performance, Champa holds a special rehearsal. It is a roaring success. How does her family feel about her singing in front of people? Here we have the dad telling her. Here we have this person telling her, giving her advice to take long and deep breaths before she sings. And here we have this one right here, this person who is smiling and reminding her to smile. And here we have this other person here telling her what to do for good luck to make sure that she goes on stage and does her best. How do you think her family feels? I think her family is very excited. What about her best friend? Take a look at her best friend right here. How do you think he feels? How does the best friend feel about Champa getting ready to sing? Take a look at what he's doing and take a look at his face. I think he feels excited too because he's clapping and he's smiling. He's getting excited to see his best friend sing. Finally, it's annual day. Champa is wearing the sweater that her grandfather knit specially for the show. When it's her turn to sing, her tongue feels rubbery. The stage is too big. The lights are too bright. There are too many people in the audience. Champa's throat tightens and her hands are clammy. How does the author, the person who wrote this book, describe the character? He says that her tongue feels rubbery. That means that she can't really control her tongue, and you need your tongue to sing. And he also says that Champa's throat tightens and her hands get clammy. So how do you think Champa feels right now? Sometimes your hands get clammy and your throat tightens when you are nervous and you're scared, you have fear, you're frightened. Frightened means when you're scared. She's scared of being on stage. She remembers to smile at the audience. When she begins to sing, out comes a whisper. It is as if she has swallowed her voice. She remembers to smile at the audience. When she begins to sing, out comes a whisper. It is as if someone has swallowed her voice. Champa takes a long deep breath and tries again. Out comes a squeak. There is a loud gasp from the audience. Champa's heart pounds loudly. Thud, thud, thud. Her head starts to spin. How does the author describe Champa here? He said that there was a loud gasp and that her heart's pounding. This is because she's scared. That's when she sees Basant waving wildly at her. She is so glad to see him, so she tries again. At first the song comes softly, although her voice is shaking. It sounds somewhat right. But slowly the music starts to flow out of her, smooth and strong and melodic. It does not matter that the stage is too big, or that the lights are too bright, or even that the audience has a lot of people. Champa lets her voice go wild and free, and she does. She is filled with the most marvelous feeling in the world. So let's take a look at Champa's face one more time. How do you think she feels here? I think she feels happy to sing. She feels marvelous. Very good. Now, let's identify the main character and describe the character. Here it says, the main character is. So who is the main character? Remember our objective? Our objective was to identify the main character. So who was the main character? Champa! Champa was the main character. There she is. Now let's describe her. So what do we know about Champa? How can you describe Champa? Champa likes to sing. Do you think she likes to sing? Yep, I think she likes to sing. Now, does she like to sing in front of people? I think Champa was scared to sing in front of people. So she's scared. Now, what is Champa wearing here? Champa is wearing red. She's wearing a red sweater. This color, red. Now, let's take a look at something else about what Champa looks like so we can describe her. Champa has black hair. Her hair color is black. You see? So these are all words we use to describe the character. These are the character traits. The character traits, again, are words that help us describe the character and understand the character. Now it's your turn. I want you to draw a picture and use words that describe the main character.